The Galactic Republic's Starfighter Corps took to the skies and stars against the droid ships of the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. As such, they developed many Starfighter models for the Jedi and clone pilots to utilize. Today, we're taking a look at them all. This is every single Republic Starfighter type and variant explained. The V19 Torrent. The first interceptor prominently used by the Republic Navy during the early days of the Clone Wars was the V19 Torrent, seen in the Malevolence campaign and the battles of Christophsis, Ryloth, Camino, and Sullust. This ship was rushed into service almost immediately after the Battle of Geonosis, as the Republic rushed to combat Separatist droid ships. The V19 was fast and sturdy, featuring a flat, broad fuselage with a cockpit mounted on its aft. It was equipped with 3 engines and 3 folding strike foils, or wings. The craft's armament included a pair of wingtip-mounted laser cannons, as well as 2 hull-mounted concussion missile launchers. The V19 Torrent did not come equipped with a shield generator, but it made up for this with thick armor, a sturdy hull, and impressive top speeds. Initial models were not equipped with a hyperdrive, as they docked on Venator-class Star Destroyers for interplanetary transport. Republic technicians later added Class 1 hyperdrives to some, which were specifically used for escort missions. Other V19s were also modified to use hyperspace docking rings. Behind the scenes, the design for the V19 Torrent was inspired by the real-life Vought F4U Corsair, an American plane used primarily during World War I and the Korean War. The ARC 170. The Aggressive Reconnaissance 170 Starfighter was a heavy ship that saw widespread use towards the end of the Clone Wars, essentially replacing the V19 Torrent. It was also an early relative of the X-Wing, along with another ship that we'll get to shortly. The ARC 170 also typically deployed from Venators and was often sent deep within enemy territory. Because of this, the ship was equipped with a hyperdrive, as well as powerful sensors, scanners, and jammers within its nose. The ARC 170 also possessed an S-foil system on its wings, which helps to radiate heat, aid the fighter's shielding, and allow for additional stability during atmospheric operations. The ARC 170 boasted an armament consisting of dual wingtip laser cannons and proton torpedo launchers. It was crewed by 3 individuals: a pilot, co-pilot who fired the forward-facing lasers, and a gunner which operated the cannon at the rear, as well as an astromech droid. One ARC 170 being shot down meant the death of 3 clones, which is why the Republic usually employed single-seat starfighters. As with other ships, it was common for elite pilots to customize their arcs with elaborate designs. Winter is the perfect time to cozy up and dive into a new video game, which is exactly what I've been doing with Raid Shadow Legends, the sponsor of today's video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG on both mobile and PC. In Raid, there are over 800 champions for you to collect and fight with, ranging from lizard-like creatures to elves, orcs, dwarves, and demons. By clicking the link in the description and downloading Raid Shadow Legends, you'll get a head start on the competition with 2 bonus champions. Lightsworn, an epic champion from the Sacred Order with an increased defense buff. Plus, at level 15, you'll receive Juliana, another epic champion and boss killer from the Sacred Order. We also have additional bonus codes for you to enter for another free champion. New raid players can redeem one of the following 3, so choose wisely. Raid for Kellan to get the epic champion Kellan the Shrike from the Sylvan Watchers faction. Get Oboro for the epic champion Oboro from the Shadowkin faction, and raid for Mord for the epic champion Mordecai. New and existing players can also claim the rare champion Preserver with the code Iloveraid. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description or scan my QR code to get 3 free epic champions, plus a rare champion from any of the mentioned codes. Once you're in and crushing your enemies, come find me under the name Red5YT and join the Red Squadron clan. We'll be legends together. I'll see you on the battlefield. The Z95 Head Hunter. Seeing action from the Battle of Umbara to the end of the war and beyond, the versatile Z95 Head Hunter became one of the most popular forms of Republic air support. The variant used by the Republic Navy was designed specifically to take advantage of the physical and mental capabilities of clone pilots. The ship was fast and agile, also armed with dual wingtip laser cannons and concussion missile launchers. Each gave the fighter a punch well out of proportion to its size. Looking incredibly close to an X-Wing with its S-foils locked, the Head Hunter was a clear precursor to the later craft, but still saw its own share of use well into the Galactic Civil War and beyond. The Vwing. Officially the Alpha 3 Nimbus-class Vwing, this starfighter was a sharp and wedge-shaped craft. Cutting-edge technology was used to give the Vwing impressive maneuverability. Specifically, 2 vertically placed engines allowed for it to turn incredibly fast. While not equipped with a hyperdrive, the Vwing did possess a shield generator. Unlike the ARC 170, it was flown by a single pilot, accompanied by an astromech. To maximize power for speed and agility, the cockpit was not pressurized, meaning pilots had to wear a sealed flight suit and life support system. The wings, which were located at either side of the V-Wing and reached above and below the craft, were the ship's most distinguishable feature. They folded 90 degrees when landing. In terms of combat, the V-Wing was a clone pilot's best option when it came to dogfights with separatist fighters, specifically with its improved maneuverability compared to that of the ARC 170. It was armed with twin swiveling laser cannons on either side. There were 2 sub-variants of the V-Wing as follows. The Alpha 3B Besh, which added projectile weapons to allow the fighter to serve as a bomber. The Alpha 3E Esk, that was equipped with ion weapons to act as a pursuit craft. With the conclusion of the Clone Wars and the aftermath of Order 66, V-Wings continued to see extensive use under the Galactic Empire during its early years, before it was eventually replaced by the TIE Fighter line. The Delta 7 Ether Sprite. Often referred to as the Jedi Interceptor, the Delta 7 Ether Sprite was designed specifically with the Jedi in mind. The Delta 7's designers worked with the Jedi Order to create a starfighter with fewer internal systems than other ships, and focused on making the controls as responsive as possible due to the Jedi's heightened reflexes that came with force sensitivity. An elite transport, the arrowhead-shaped vessel could accommodate a single pilot and an integrated astromech unit, as it was too thin for a full astromech socket. The Delta 7 was also not equipped with a hyperdrive, making use of hyperdrive rings for interplanetary transport. The starfighter was fitted with 2 twin-barrel laser cannons. Eventually, the Delta 7B variant was introduced and saw widespread use throughout the Clone Wars. It featured a relocated full astromech droid slot, enlarged hull, and a set of pop-out S-foils for certain maneuvers. The ETA-2 Actis. The successor to the Delta 7 Ether Sprite, the ETA-2 Actis-class light interceptor was a small vessel that possessed superior firepower. Like the Ether Sprite, it lacked a hyperdrive and made use of rings. However, unlike the Delta 7, initial models did not come equipped with shields, relying on agility and speed for defense. The ETA-2 featured wings with upper and lower S-foils, open to shed excess heat from the ship's engine, primarily during intense combat. The ETA-2 was armed with 2 laser cannons and 2 ion cannons, which fired bursts of plasma that caused temporary electrical disruptions to their target. The ship saw extensive use during the latter end of the Clone Wars, most notably by Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi during the Battle of Coruscant. The BTB Ywing. The first of the line that eventually produced the BTL A4 Y-Wings used by the Rebel Alliance during the Galactic Civil War, the BTB Y-Wing was a mainstay of the Republic Navy during the Clone Wars. The BTB Y-Wing was intended to serve as a combination starfighter and long-range bomber, its distinctive ion engines giving it its Y shape. The Republic version was different from the later Rebel variant in 2 visually distinct ways. Firstly, it featured a tailgunner-operated rotating bubble turret. The Republic-era Y-Wing also featured far more armor, as by the time the Rebellion began to use their Y-Wings, it had to be removed after every mission for repairs due to the Y-Wing's age. This led the Rebel Alliance to just strip the craft of its outer shell entirely. Y-Wings saw extensive service over the course of the Clone Wars. Used effectively against enemy capital ships, Y-Wing bombing runs contributed to Republic victories, breaking many blockades, and making way for ground troop advancements. Y-Wings earned a reputation for durability and firepower, with veterans such as Captain Rex remembering them as solid in combat, even as he flew one after the war. The N1 Starfighter. Though not as widely used by the Republic Navy, it felt wrong not to include the N1 Starfighter given its importance in the Phantom Menace especially. The single-seat patrol craft was developed for use by the Naboo Royal Security Forces for duties such as defense, patrol, and escorting. The sleek craft demonstrated the marriage of art and function present in Naboo technology. The N1 boasted 2 engines and a hyperdrive and was armed with offensive weaponry that consisted of 2 blaster cannons and integrated proton torpedo launchers. An astromech slot was positioned in the rear of the cockpit. The N1 also featured an autopilot system and defensive shielding. The ship's central tail acted as a power collector and received energy from onboard generators when it was not in use. The ship's 2 outer pods served as heat sinks for the engines. Anakin Skywalker notably flew the N1 during the Battle of Naboo, destroying a Lucrehulk-class droid control ship, the Cord-class Starfighter. Now onto some of the lesser-known Republic fighters. The Cord-class was a high-speed interceptor armed with a single laser cannon. However, it was cheap, fragile, and underarmed, which is why it was quickly phased out in favor of the V19 Torrent. PTB and NTB bombers. NTB 630 naval and PTB 625 planetary bombers were rare variants of the ARC 170. The NTB 630 was created to deliver its payloads while engaged in space battles, boasting increased maneuverability, allowing it to get close to capital ships and avoid their turbo lasers as it executed bombing runs. The PTB 625 was designed specifically for planetary bombing. Both ships were used sparingly during the Outer Rim sieges. But that about does it for the main production ships utilized by the Grand Army of the Republic's Naval Corps during the Clone Wars. Let us know your favorite in the comments, as well as what type of ship we should cover next. Those of another faction may be gunships and shuttles, perhaps Star Destroyers or capital ships. Don't forget to download Raid Shadow Legends using the link in the description. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server linked in the description. If you enjoyed today's Star Wars video, we've got more on the screen for you right now. Also make sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5 standing by.